Sam. I got a new anime for you to watch.
I'm still watching the current season. I don't need something else to watch.
Sorry there, boss. It's in the contract. All anime YouTubers must watch every anime. It's right next to the Boku no Pico clause.
I knew I shouldn't have sold my soul for anime titties.
Anyway, the new anime is called Cannon Busters. It's about a man who's in a sci-fi western world where he has a muscle car that turns into a giant robot and he also can't die.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also made by Netflix.
Oh.
Don't worry about it. It's not a live adaptation. Lord knows what happens with those things. It's just an anime original, okay? Just calm down.
Well, you're right. They made Baki and Devil May Cry, baby. How bad could this be? 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 How bad could this be?
Boss, you're doing that ominous repeating yourself thing again, as if something bad is about to happen.
Oh, sorry. Bad habit.
Anyway, what's cracking, guys? Today, we're gonna be talking about this new Netflix anime called Cannon Busters. For basic summary, it's a sci-fi western anime about a guy driving a classic muscle car that turns into a mech from putting quarters inside of it like an arcade machine. Did I also mention he has a curse which he never dies, and he also has 2 mech robo girl sidekicks. Now for me, it sounded pretty freaking amazing already, isn't it? It's kind of sounding like another Cowboy Bebop. But as I got into it, the show got more awkward than your parents finding your secret Rule 34 stash of kawaii anime girls that probably have some traps in it. Yeah, not so good. But first, let me get started about what I like about this anime. I have to say, the character design is absolutely stunning. They're all unique, they're not same-facey, and they pop out more than any anime character that's kind of generic, to say the least. One of the bounty hunters in the show has a scorpion for a freaking beard. Now that is pretty cool. There's also this one cat inside of the anime where it just looks like the most disgusting thing that you have ever seen. Like, wow, that's really gross. The animation for some scenes are really well done, such as the car transformation sequence into a giant mecha. I think that's pretty cool. I like that kind of transformation scene there. Reminds me back of Transformers, man. Yeah, sure, some people might complain that it's 3D mixed with 2D there, and yeah, you gotta knock a little bit of points off for that, but at least the 3D is done well enough. But obviously the thing I like the best is this setting. A sci-fi western. Like, that's not done too much in anime, and I love it. It's such a cool, gritty world where the law is not absolute and anything can happen. Like, you can have a mix of all sorts of fantastical, like old school fantasy characters as well as futuristic ones blending in with mechs. Like, that is fantastic. And that's it for the things I like. Yeah, it wasn't very long. Now let's go into the problems. One big thing is the intro is extremely weird. It's not because the song is weird. No, in fact, I think the song is great. And it's not because the opening animation is bad. No, I think the opening animation is pretty good. But the thing is, the two do not go well together. It kind of feels like they just took some random song, slapped it inside of the anime intro and said, yeah, that'll do. Let me just slap a few together and show you what I mean.
Creeper. Oh man.
The humor in it also comes off as extremely awkward because it has dark humor, like lots of dark humor, and it also has lots of just cartoon funny humor on top of it. And the problem with this is when you put a bunch of goofy humor in a bunch of dark situations, it lessens the impact of it, and it just makes it whatever. For example, Sam, a robot who's completely clueless, goes up to a bar where they see a dead guy hanging and they comment on it saying, oh, that's interesting. And then they see a guy get shot outside the bar and is dying on the floor in a very goofy way, and they say, hi, hello, may you help me? I need some help and assistance, while the guy is literally dying on the floor. It has lots of these instances where it has extremely graphic violence, like mixed together with some extremely goofy moments, like cartoon goofy moments. It's dumb. Like, it makes me wonder if this show wants to be very gritty and dark, or if it wants to be like a light-hearted shonen, but it's trying to play with the shock factor of all this gratuitous violence. Another example of this being the two robot girls walking into a bar that's filled to the brim of dead dudes, and they casually walk up to the people murdering and interrogating this one guy who they think is Billy the Kid. And they don't do anything to them after just massacring everybody. It makes no sense. And then another guy who just happened to be in the bathroom comes out and they immediately shoot him, no questions asked, but the robot girls are okay? It then goes on to a goofy kind of Pirates of the Caribbean like shootout scene, if I'm able to say this, where it's over the top of what's happening. Needless to say, the girl is trying to befriend the guy who's doing the shootout, and he's also seems to have the robot girl attached to his leg as he's avoiding bullet after bullet of these very skilled murderers who destroy this entire bar, by the way, but can't seem to shoot this guy who's crippled by this robot girl he's dragging along, and also the robot girl who's trying to befriend him. Like, I get it, it's anime magic and all that stuff like that, plot armor, what have you, but like, I'm not sure if I should be taking this as a serious, gritty world that's kind of somewhat realistic, or is it just goofy? Yay, people die in horrible ways, but you know what? Yay, cartoon goofy. Like, it doesn't work. Now, thankfully, I get to move on to Billy. I'm sorry, did I say Billy before? I meant Philly the Kid, an obvious play of a known criminal. Basically, he's kind of like Spike from Cowboy Bebop meets Tai from Digimon, the greatest isekai of all time, mind you. Except for the fact that he isn't cool and smooth like Spike from Cowboy Bebop is, nor is he a guy who cares about his friends and is actually nice and competent like Tai is. In fact, he's more of just a selfish brat who seems to complain constantly and looks out only for himself. True enough to his kid nature, I guess, name. Honestly, his dialogue is extremely clumsy, and the man is extremely clumsy himself. It really makes me wonder how he has such a big bounty on his head, given how completely incompetent he is at points. Sure, his curse lets him live through virtually anything, but it still doesn't make his situations better. I really just don't like his character. Yes, I get the fact that he is an anti-hero. He's not supposed to be a valiant good guy trying to save the day. But you know what? He should at least have some redeeming factor to him, given the fact that he still has a hero in his name and not villain. The entire time he's with these robot girls, he wants just to ditch them and get rid of them, and he even threatens to kill them at certain points, saying he wants to drop them off a cliff. Mind you, that's after the girls save his life. And not just one time, mind you, they save his life multiple times. There's even a point to show how incompetent he is when he's having a shootout with two guys, and he does beat them, but suddenly a mom comes out and says, don't shoot them, they're my kids, we're just scary bandits, and he thinks this is all fishy. But as soon as the daughter shows up, he goes after her like a weeb who just discovered Rule 34 for the first time and follows her inside of a bar like a puppy dog, not questioning anything else that happens. And on top of it, she slips him an obviously poisoned drink before he was sexually harassing her, making it quite obvious that he only wanted to bang her. And then he dies in the most cartoon and stupid of dramatic deaths. So just to get this straight here, Billy is extremely toxic to people who are kind to him. He's also threatens the lives of people who are kind to him. He's extremely stupid and prone to getting himself killed. He's not cool in the slightest and extremely incompetent. Like, I can't think of a single redeeming thing about this guy. Then there's just some parts that just are silly and dumb, and I'm just gonna breeze through them here just to show you what I mean about how silly this show kinda gets. Such as when Sam senses a threat and becomes a cannon buster to protect her newfound friend. Yes, they dropped Cannon Buster, the name of the show. Oh, they said it! Oh, they said the name of the show, they did it! But when they get attacked by some other robot guys, she doesn't do it then, even though their lives are in danger, because I love plot. Not to mention the fight with the skating robots is just silly. They seem very big and very intimidating, but then for some reason they trip, hit a freaking water storage unit, and they blow up. It happens twice. Are water towers explosive in sci-fi worlds? I don't know. And then there's a flashback of an old Prince character where it's obvious they're just trying to get us to connect to this character as quickly as possible because lol, it's the friend of the robot girl. And they're setting up the most obvious death flag traps of I have this locket that's special, it proves that we'll never separate from one another, and then lol, they get separated from one another. Hey, well, I couldn't see that coming. Honestly, it just feels like they're quickly trying to get us to care about this character to make it feel compelling, but they're actually not doing any real work behind it. It comes off as extremely flat, and I just don't care. Honestly, with how many flashbacks took place between the second and third episode, it makes me think that they started the show in the wrong place. And the reason why you get all these flashbacks is because they're using the cliche of the robot girls dreaming constantly. And the way they go about it, I'll get to it. But anyway, the big sad thing that happened in the past is that it was a giant robot that suddenly appeared in the town, the city, out of nowhere. How did nobody notice a humongous freaking death robot suddenly strolling up and then blows everything up? It makes zero sense how nobody noticed this thing, especially in a city that was supposed to be one of the most advanced and well guarded. And after the dude died earlier from the most obvious poisoning in the world, the two brothers take the robots into the most obvious trap of all time, standing them right in front of a giant hole for an awkward minute, and then they finally kick the robots inside of it for no apparent reason why there was a hole there in the first place and why they kicked them into it, when all they did in the end was shock them with the stick to knock them out. Why not just use the dang stick to shock them and make them unconscious? Wouldn't that be simpler? Then tie them up maybe? I don't know, maybe I'm just using logic here. Is that too much? And since the girl was shocked, yeah, guess what? We go into another flashback where you meet the most obvious bad guy of bad guy, King's Booger. Oh, I'm sorry, King Bulgar. Sorry, that was a cheap shot. And let me tell you, the fight between King Bulgar and the King is the most laughable thing I've ever seen. It's meant to be hyped up to be this cool, all-powerful battle, but no, it's the most lame, stupid thing I've ever seen. The bad guy tosses the king around like a rag doll, except the fact that he's more of just a floating JPEG moving across the screen. That was the best animation they could do for that. It was so slow and so painful to watch, it really hurt my soul of how uninteresting that fight scene really was. It's then continued by the Royal Guard fetching the son to bring him to safety, where he's with his robot friend, and apparently the Royal Guard didn't care, chopped off the tree to separate him from her for no apparent reason, because she wasn't a threat or trying to get him to not go or anything or resisting. No, he just did it just because. They then have a cheesy scene where she slowly falls off into a canyon, and the Prince cries out, no! It's just so weird and awkward. Like, wouldn't it make sense to have this cannon buster go along with the prince to help protect him? Like, she's supposed to be super powerful. I don't know why the royal guard wouldn't know about that, since he was like protected the king and everything. Wouldn't he know the secrets? Look, I had so much to say about this show that I had to come back just in the morning. And did I mention this show really likes showing its graphic scenes? Because it really likes doing it. It goes from goofy happy-go-lucky to bunch of skinned bodies hanging off of meat hooks, along with a bride and groom dress, just to show how dark and gritty this is. And they show that bride and groom dress multiple times, just so you know they're evil. Honestly, with so much bouncing around the happy-go-lucky scenes to the dark and gritty scenes, you just can't take it seriously at that point. Because the whole point of having dark and gritty scenes is to take it seriously. And when you can't take it seriously, well, what's the point? And you know, episode 3 isn't really much better. It starts with the girl waking up, forgetting that she was betrayed and calling out for help, only to get zapped again and go into an exposition dump. And you think it would end there? No. They do the same bit a third time, where the girl wakes up just to get zapped again so they can do more exposition. The thing I don't really like about it is it's like exposition that the robot wouldn't know, because it's the fight between the king and the bad king, and then as well as showing like the guard and the prince in the mountains. She won't know anything about these events. How could she have a flashback about it? And honestly, like, the remainder of episode 3 isn't really much to talk about. They have the most unepic, slow-paced chase of Ring Around the Rosie around the guy's car. And, oh god, it's really painful and slow to watch. Where they finally activate the mecha, where they can't seem to hit this one girl who's in the middle of an open plain field with no cover whatsoever, and she somehow manages to get away. And then after that, Philly and the daughter of the evil woman continue their little shootout fight, only for Philly to lose again. That's not once, but twice that our hero got defeated by some random girl in a desert. He lost in a battle of wits, and he lost in a battle of physical strength and combat abilities. It honestly makes me wonder as to why this character even is the protagonist at this point, when there's clearly better options that these girls could have chose to help them on their quests. But anyway, before the longest, I'm about to shoot you and pull the trigger scene. Oh, I'm gonna shoot you. Oh, you're gonna get so shot with bullets. The girl then transforms into a gun and evaporates the girl. So yeah, we get an interesting development of the girl who is completely oblivious to anything, like killing somebody and losing her innocence. I'm like, oh sweet, finally something interesting, but no! Instead of her having to deal with what she did, they just block it out of her memory. She doesn't remember anything. The character development is gone. Also, they can go back to being the naive, stupid robot duo again. Oh god. Like, honestly, this entire anime is just wasted potential. Just absolutely wasted potential. You got like a cool setting that's similar to Cowboy Bebop, and you're able to do all sorts of amazing things with it, and you just blow it. You have great character designs, but I guess it doesn't matter when you write the characters so poorly nobody cares about them. Like, honestly, I'm just really sad. Like, I wanted this to be better. I wanted this show to be better, but it was laughably terrible. And that's why I did this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts and opinions about it. Please leave yours below. Discuss this. Maybe I was going a little bit too overboard. Maybe I was critical like Noble. I think you're spot on about all this. So yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and maybe a double like if you really want me to continue, I don't know, watching the rest of this series and taking it apart. Who knows? But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you beautiful sons of guns again next time.
Die, Billy the Kid! You crazy mother...